gentlemen, will you please put your hands together, Watergrasshill, for your top 16! Now, each of these drivers expects to come out here, we'll introduce them, you'll give them like a half-ass clap and they'll be happy enough with that, but let's surprise them today. Let's surprise them by giving them a huge ovation, each one of them, as we introduce them. So Watergrasshill, I know you're cold, but I need you to make more noise and give it up for your top 16! So as they ready themselves for competition, we want you to give each one of these drivers a huge round of applause. So we're going to introduce each one of these drivers. We want every single person in Watergrasshill to make as much noise as possible for each driver. They have put their life's work into these cars, everything they have. We want you guys to hit them with a wall of sound. So we're going to introduce first, as they exit the car, he is all the way from the Pro Amateur Championship. He's a local boy, he's a Cork boy. It's his first time ever in the top 16. Representing Team Drift Games, so you please put your hands together for Alan Hines! He is the current reigning Irish Drift Champion. He is from the north of Ireland. We call him the Northern Smoke Machine, representing Tri's Tires. So you please give it up for Dwayne McKeever! Returning to the IDC this weekend and back into the top 16 where he belongs. Give it up for Darren Coates! Representing Drift Games, Moose Design, Corvo Seats, and his own Keep Drifting Serious. He's here with 330 horsepower. Give it up for Pete Nielsen! He is just 17 years of age, representing Achilles Tires. He is the man going for the top spot today. Give it up for Tomas Kiley! Back after a small absence from the top 16s and getting it all together and almost putting it in the back of Mark McBurney's car in the parade to show you how much he wants it. Give it up for Paul McCarthy! He has been entertaining you all weekend with the craziest angles into those corners. He is all the way from the Amateur Championship last year. This year he's in the pros. Get up for Mark McBurney! The local boy from just down the road, going into the grid, also with his brother, also from the Pro-Am class, and at just 14 years of age. Give it up for Connor Shanahan! Back in the mix again, a track that he loves, and said he's going for top spot. He's taken down some of the big names. Will he take down any more? Give it up for Mr. Dennis Murphy! As I mentioned before, a man who has been raising the bar year after year, always in the mix. Today he's going for the win, representing Team Jap Speed and Maxxis Tires. Give it up for Shane O'Sullivan! Representing Queen's Coach Tire in one of the nicest R33s in the world, in my opinion. And one of the best built, but he's here to take names this weekend. Give it up for Joe Doyle! He has come all the way from the UK representing Team Driftworks. He is here to take down the streak. He's here to take down the Drift Super Series. Can we give a huge Irish welcome to Martin Richards? proving that driver talent and not all the grip and budget in the world can get you there, and always humble. He's the eternal underdog. Can we make some noise for TJ Birdie? And today, he may very well win his first ever Irish Drift Championship, but firstly, he's got to win this round. Will you please give it up for the local boy, Jack Shanahan? Making it through and beating the best driver in the UK right now to get through to the top 16 with dodgy steering on the front end of the car. He's back in the top 16. Give it up for Team Delta, it's Brian Egan. And I want to give a very special cheer right now to the man who topped qualifying, because he flies to and from Australia for every single event. Him and his dad, small budget team, but he came all the way here just to put on a show for you guys. Can we give a huge Irish welcome to the Thunder from Down Under, Mitch Larner. So, this is the top 16. These are the best 16 guys this weekend, and they are ready to go to war. Now they're ready, the cars are ready, and they want to put on a show like no other. They want you leaving here saying that this was the best IDC event you've ever watched. But the only reason they're going to do that is if each and every one of you believe it. Each and every one of you want that to be the case. You came here, you took the time, and you took all of your effort to come here, and you want to see a show. Well, if you want a show, we want to show these guys that exact thing. That you guys, standing around the bank, want this to be the craziest event ever, which means you've got to make a noise louder than any Mondello, louder than bigger crowds anywhere else in the world. Watergrasshill is on each and every one of you to make some noise right now. So will you please make some noise for your top 16? You know what? I'm seeing the guys here with the cool faces going, oh sure, look at the boys. Egypt, oh cheer. We are going to make some noise here. These guys do give everything they have. This is all they get out of it is your cheer. So if you didn't cheer then, you should feel bad. You should feel guilty. So right now we're going to ask you one more time to make some noise and stop being humble and stop being boring. Cork, make some noise! As this is our national championship, we are going to play our national anthem, and at the end of it I want you to hit them with such a roar to say that for such a small little country, how we can produce so much talent. I want you guys at the end of it, and also maybe to scare Martin Richards and Mitch Larner a little bit, we're going to make a massive cheer at the end of it. So please can I ask you all to sing or stand for our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for your top 16! I think it's about time we got this show on the road, so it's time to decide who's got what it takes to win this today. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for these boys to start their engines! it, folks. We are ready to go. It is the top 16 here at round 4. And what a huge battle to kick it off. Australia versus Ireland.
Yeah, we're kicking off with an absolute stomper of a battle here. Brian Egan coming up against the Thunder from down under. Our highest qualifier, Mitch Larner. He is here to right all the wrong that has happened to him on this track in the past. A real struggle here this time last year, but he is back. He's in his own car. He's coming up against Brian Egan, who has battled through adversity, battled through mechanical issues. We know he's having trouble with steering. Will he be able to get the car around the circuit? That is what we are about to find out. And we know he likes to go aggressive, Dave, in the chase position.
And you know what? Mitch Larner said that he's sick of this 14-year streak in Ireland. He wants to come and take it. Well, Mark Carter thought the same, and Brian Egan took him down, but now can he take down an even more uninformed driver and our highest qualifier, Mitch Larner? This is a heavyweight battle. Watergrasshill, you guys are in for a treat here, because I guarantee you this is going to be hotly contested. So we are ready to send drivers from the start line. Watergrasshill, are you ready? Here we go. Australia, Ireland. Only one can go through to the top 8. Will it be Larner in the green Westlake Tire supercharged V8, or will it be Brian Egan in that black Teep Delpit R32 Skyline? We are ready to send them. Here we go.
Down the stretch they come and fire through that first corner now. Can they stay nice and tight? They certainly can. Brian Egan right on the rear quarter of Mitch Larner. But Mitch nailing that qualifying line as Brian makes another big dive. Can he keep it here? He certainly does. They almost come together. And Mitch, now this is where Brian Egan has had trouble. Can he get through? Just about. Mitch runs a little bit offline there, but
and Brian Egan
back on now.
washes
Brian,
a little bit there also.
Brian coming offline as well. So some very slight errors from both drivers on that run, but for the large part of it, Dave, both drivers really nailing the majority of the course.
Absolutely, and I mean, it goes to show the level of consistency and talent in the championship. Years ago, you dream of one good battle or two good battles a weekend. Now we're getting it time after time, and the scores are in, and a very small advantage to Brian Egan after the first run, but very slight, guys.
Yeah, great chase there by Brian. But it was chasing a really good lead line, and even on the hairpins there, Mitch's line coming in was, he slowed on nicely on angle, powered through, allowing Brian great opportunity to be able to twin with him.
Do we have a fire in Mitch Larner's car here? Sorry, Kieran, I'm just cutting across you there. Continue. And this could be, just looking down at the start line here, I'm sorry to cut across you, Kieran, but it was just a big lot of panic there from everybody to get in and around Mitch Larner's car. And as you can see, I'm not sure if it's, no, definitely the fire extinguisher is being used here. There is definitely an issue with Mitch Larner's car straight away. There's a fire in the car, and our marshal's reacting very quickly. You can see our Baz, our Starline marshal there, straight away spotted some smoke in that car, and his quick reactions may have saved a little bit more damage from Mitch Larner's car there, but I'm not too sure exactly what was happening. Larner with the helmet off here, I'm not too sure exactly what's happening, and just as our judges were explaining the run, we just saw the panic there, and it looks like it's at the rear end of the car. Extinguishers being used, and the IDC crew there straight away. And this is the most important thing, Eddie, is obviously to try and protect the car, protect the driver, and as much as fun as drifting is, safety is our number one concern.
Yeah, it really is. Very unfortunate scenes that we're seeing here, because not the way we want to see somebody exit the competition if that's what it was going to be. You can see just small little sparks, little flames underneath the car as he heads back to the start line.
Yeah, you can just see it there on the replay that there is definitely, yeah, you can definitely see it's burning something under the front of the car there, and obviously he turned around at that point and they were actually it was still smoking, so I'm not too sure exactly what's up with the car, but we will, obviously our marshal is taking the time to make sure that the car is 100% and good to go, and as I said, safety paramount. You can have all the rules, conditions, everything you want in the world in the show, but the most important thing is that these guys are safe and that no unnecessary damage is done to any vehicle.
Yeah, and obviously they want to make sure that that's as safe as possible before Mitch decides that he's going to get back in, if he is indeed going to get back in and contest the second half of this battle. Certainly very little in it after the first run. Brian putting in a good chase run with lots of proximity, but Mitch doing a hell of a lot right in that lead position as well.
Yeah, and of course a little bit of a mess there on the start line also, just obviously a concern for our marshalling team, but of course first reaction is always put the fire out regardless of the conditions, and they did a great job there. So it looks like they may have saved some Some more damage to that car. Guys, get a round of applause for the IDC marshals on track there. Quick reactions. Take their jobs very, very seriously on the track, and without them, we just couldn't possibly put on these events. So that team getting together very quickly to make sure that car is 100%. We're going to get word from our marshals in a moment exactly what is the condition of the car and what is happening. It's so unfortunate, and I was just about to say when he
see a lot of the other IDC drivers watching on there. Tomas Kiley, Dwayne McKeever, and it looks as though he's going to call a 5-minute rule just to have a look at the car, make sure that it is safe to be driven in the second half of this battle, which is, you have to feel the right thing to do at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. You take the 5 minutes. At this point in time, it's not a run. You can see a shake of the hands there from Brian and Mitch Larners, and Brian saying, hoping he gets back out. Every driver does. No one wants to win by default. So Mitch Larner will hop back in the car, get towed back into the pits. They'll have a look at it. They'll assess the situation. We'll keep you guys up to speed on it. I'm sure Ian will be in the pits there right with them to let you guys know exactly what's going on with that car. But just when he was on such flying form, first position in qualifying, looked so strong. We were ready for a big chase run there from Mitch Larner, and just not to be. 5-minute rule calls. So how the 5-minute rule works for those of you guys watching on is once the car stops at its pit area, the 5-minute clock starts. Once they move away from that pit area, the 5-minute clock stops. So it's essentially not what happens on the track, but it's exactly what happens in the pits. And of course, a fire on the track or anything like that is going to be dealt with paramount above any rule. That's the first thing.
Yeah, so hopefully, within that 5 minutes, that they may be able to figure out what it was that was causing that little spark, and hopefully, we could see Mitch back out to contest this second half of the battle. There's nothing to say that he won't be back. So it looks as though we'll probably move on to our next battle. You can see them just arriving back to the Westlake.
You can see that's actually Mitch Larner's dad there, directing traffic down to where their pit area is. And of course, a little bit of panic will be on, but he's being followed by marshals, helpers, other drivers to try and get that car sorted to see exactly what the issue was. And the 5-minute rule clock will start. And see, this is where the panic kicks in, and everybody has to jack the car and see exactly what's happened. And as I said, there's going to be a lot of Irish guys helping the Aussie get back on track here for sure. So as you can see under the bar, that monstrous V8. So we're going to try and get Ian Waddington down to ask Mitch what's going on with the car and what's exactly happening. It may have been a loose pipe, it may have been just some oil kicking back onto the manifold, it may not have been that serious, but definitely disaster save there from the IDC team reacting so quickly to it on the start line.
You can see Brian Egan's mechanic Paddy Brennan there actually having a look.
So Ian is down in the pits. Ian, what's going on?
Dave, I'm over here with Mitch. Mitch, fire under your car in your first run there. What was it, dude?
It looks like the breather for the gearbox is just come out of its catch can, so the boys are on it now. Hopefully we can get it sorted. I'd say we just overfilled the gearbox. It hasn't really been getting worked out like I've been working it here, so I'm trying my hardest. I think I've got an Irish curse or something. I don't know what it is, but I've got good support behind me. Everybody at home, they're all up for me. So I'm just hopefully we can get back out there. I can stay in the fight, and we'll come back and hopefully keep going.
You've qualified first, dude. You're looking really, really strong despite this little upset. I mean, how are you feeling in minds of your driving and how the battle's going to go when you go back into this?
I'm just going to drive as hard as I can, and like I say, I've got the support behind me. I've got everything behind me. I've got the car. Well, I've got half the car right now, but hopefully we can sort this out and get back out there and put the fight back to Brian. Awesome dude. I could see him in my chase, so I know when I get back out there I'm going to have to work for it, but we'll just see how we go.
Good luck, dude. Really good luck.
No worries, thanks.
So they are desperately trying to get that car back out there, and it's a loose pipe on the gearbox. They're trying to fix it, get that car ready to run, and get it back out for the second half of the battle. Remember, he's on a 5-minute rule. The clock is ticking. So we're going to move on to our next battle. We'll keep you updated with what's happening with Mitch Larner and the Brian Egan battle. We're going to roll on to our next battle, and it is going to be a very, you can see John Shanahan there trying to fix Mitch Larner's car as his son now prepares to go into battle, not even paying attention to what's going on the track. They're trying to clean up Mitch Larner's car, and that shows you the camaraderie behind the scenes here.
Yeah, it is. Jack Shanahan is going to be pulling to the line. He will be coming up against TJ Burney. These two guys qualifying 8th and 9th.
Yeah, a little bit of a clean up on the start line as well for our marshals to make sure that all of that fire extinguisher fluid has been swept off the track. And you know what, you can see it there, John Shanahan not even watching his own son on track, who's going for a championship right now. He's in the pits helping another driver from another country.
Yeah, and you have to say, for all the talent and experience that Jack has here, you have to feel that the nerves will be starting to build slowly here, coming up against TJ Burney in this top 16, but championship hopes. He'd we'd like to be able to take this and have a comfortable, relaxed final round.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, let's put it honestly, Jack Shanahan can win this today, and it's all dependent on Tomas Kiley to see whether or not he takes the championship. We'll keep you up to date of how it goes, but right now Shanahan and Kiley both in the mix. Now, big uphill battle, however, though, for TJ Burney. He gives away about half the horsepower, definitely half the driving time and experience to Jack Shanahan. It's going to be a huge challenge here.
Yeah, really up against it, but you know, TJ is, as he said this morning, he's not under any pressure for a championship. He's here to have as much fun as possible, and you know, if he could take down the championship leader on the way, well, you wouldn't have much more fun than that. Here we go, Jack Shanahan to lead in TJ Burney. What can TJ do in the chase position here? Nice line from TJ as Jack runs ever so slightly wide. And now TJ tries to make that second dive as they switch it back into that tight and technical midsection of this track. Now Jack Shanahan starts to put foot to floor. Can he open up a gap here, or will TJ maintain that proximity and keep fighting at the
TJ
heels?
Burney giving it a go.
Giving it a go, but making a slight correction there as they cross the line. TJ giving it his all, trying to bring the fight to Jack Shanahan. You gotta say, not a bad job from TJ Burney.
No, he definitely gave it a go, Eddie. That's what it's all about. If you're watching in on live stream right now and you're enjoying what you're seeing, make sure you hit that share button. It's at the bottom of your screen. Hit the share button. We're going to spread this out across the world. So we're going to give you a good show for the rest of the day. All you guys got to do is just hit that share button at the bottom, share out the IDC, and again, you see the amount of people working around Mitch Larner's car and try and break that 5-minute rule, and they are under pressure. Look, Jack Shanahan on track competing right now, and John Shanahan fixing a car. Does it look like Mitch Larner's car is going to run? It is. Mitch Larner is back in the game. After a fire, they get it back and they beat the 5-minute clock, and we go back to the judges for the result from the first run of Jack Shanahan and TJ Burney. It's all kicking off.
Absolutely awesome lead run there by Jack, really on the qualifying line. The only thing that I could mark him down very slightly on is that he was a little bit wide on clip 2. But other than that, absolutely fantastic. TJ, on the other hand, while he did maintain proximity in places, he was sacrificing much to an awful lot of the qualifying line to do that, and he had very shallow angle on the first and the second hairpin, and also had a slight straighten on the final hairpin as well. So just, even though he did have spots of proximity, it wasn't enough to gain advantage, and because Jack had such a good lead line, I ended up scoring a 6-4 advantage to Jack going into the second run.
So here we are, we're back on the start line. Can Shanahan keep that championship alive today? He is definitely leading the championship by quite some margin, but can he take it home this evening? Well, he's got to go through TJ Burney, and TJ Burney will be in the lead position. TJ definitely not out of the fight yet, Eddie, as they come back up over the hill.
No, certainly not. This one not over by any stretch of the imagination now. Can Jack start to apply the pressure? Leaves a little bit of a gap now, and TJ ever so slightly shallow on just not getting deep into those clipping zones, but Jack not perfect behind him either.
And no proximity from Jack Shanahan so far. TJ Burney is leaving him for dead here. Jack Shanahan cannot get back into this fight at all. Maybe there's an issue with the car, but Jack Shanahan cannot catch TJ Burney whatsoever around this course. Anything can happen in the IDC, and it's happening right now.
Yeah, not what people were expected to see there. We're so used to seeing Jack Shanahan chew down on people's doors. No proximity throughout that run from him. Judges' scores drop in, Dave.
So let's see which way it's going to go. As they get out of the cars, guys, give it up for Jack Shanahan and TJ Burney. And going through to the top 8 at IDC Round 4 is TJ Burney. TJ Burney takes down current IDC points leader Jack Shanahan. We got to go back to the judges. Guys, what a turn-up that was, or an upset that was.
Yeah, I mean, basically, Burney's lead there was absolutely on point. Nothing really wrong at all. Jack just didn't have any proximity. With the last run, Burney had spots of closer driving there. Realistically, it was me that actually overturned that with my 5.5 from the last run, as I didn't really see any massive advantage to be given to either driver. So with that run there, with Jack not bringing the battle to Burney, just let Burney take that.
That definitely seems like there was an issue with Jack Shanahan in his car. Something was up there. He just couldn't stick with TJ Burney, and it goes to show with just TJ Burney with half the horsepower and not as much grip. If you stay in the fight, you can always have your day. He takes down the current BDC champion, and he is going to be just shaking himself for the next little while. But we go back to the start line. Larner and Egan, we go back to this one. Larner puts out the fire, but can he turn the fire back on again in the chase position, Eddie?
Yeah, he needs to spark something off here, and he is lucky enough to be in that chase position. Slight disadvantage to him after the first run, trailing Brian Egan after Brian Egan's very impressive chase run. But can he now do the same again? He'll be relying on Brian to have a good lead run to allow him get close and try and force an error from there. Off the line they go. Here we go. Will it be Egan? Will it be Larner? Who's going to take it to the top 8? Down the stretch they come and they throw it into that first corner. Larner is right there with Brian Egan as they put foot to floor. Not perfect through that midsection from either driver, just lacking on that outer clipping zone. Now, where will they go from this final couple of sections here? Again, the line not perfect. Larner does have the proximity though. Can he make a final dive and try and force an error from Brian Egan? Brian Egan over the line. Mitch Larner watching just ever so slightly wide there, possibly on the last corner, Dave.
They're holding no punches out there today, Egan and Larner. Guys, give them a round of applause. Big round of applause for Mitch Larner. Had a fire in the car, called the 5-minute rule, got back out, put it in the game. Who is going to make it through, however, to our top 8? Will it be the Irishman? Will it be, guys, give it up for Brian Egan and Mitch Larner putting on a show. So, will it be Mitch Larner? Will it be the Australian? Will it be the Irishman? And the scores are in. And going through to the top 8. And it's close. Is Mitch Larner. Mitch Larner goes through to the top 8. The Australian's still in the hunt for that streak. He can't believe it. He thought it was all over, but it ain't over until you're out of the game. But guys, talk us through it. Great driving from both guys.
Yeah, good chase there by Mitch. The only error I saw from Brian really while leading was on the second hairpin. He was a little bit wide, but Mitch maintained proximity to the whole run and did enough to take a 6-4 on that one. It was my 5-5 on the first one that actually overturned it because the other two guys had gone 6-4. On the first run, I just felt that Brian maintained proximity, but had a couple little errors while doing it, so there wasn't enough there to take an advantage. So I scored the first one 5-5. So
I mean, you know, when we look at this, Eddie, we go, oh yeah. Larner beats Egan, TJ Burney beats Jack Shanahan. Now we have
Martin Richards coming up against Joe Doyle, and you know, you're a brave man to try and call it, Dave.
Yeah, but Martin Richards in the Driftworks R32 representing the British Drift Championship this weekend goes up against Joe Doyle representing the Irish Drift Championship. I'm not even going to call this one. I'm just looking forward to see these two Skylines coming over the hill. And it is ready to rock and roll. Quinn's Coach Hire versus Driftworks. Similar horsepower, similar setups, but who's going to take it home as they try and look at Joe Doyle?
Yeah, Joe Doyle. Oh, big contact.
Contact between the two drivers as Joe Doyle shuts it down. He may just have handed the first run to Martin Richards there. And
straight away the judges asking for a replay on that one. Big contact front and rear as they were side by side, Dave. We watch now on the instant replay. Here we go. Big switch. You can just see Joe Doyle rear and then frontal contact.
And the question the judges will ask was Martin Richards washing wide? Was he off throttle? Was Joe Doyle on throttle? They're going to have a couple of looks at that one, Eddie. Sometimes it seems very obvious, but when you have a look back at, is there tire smoke coming from the rear wheels? Who's on the brakes? Whatever. As I said, you never quite know. I said wrong replay. We're going back to this is Larner and Egan. So here we go. It is Richards and Joe Doyle. See Joe Doyle's bumper there. Not looking the best right now, as he hits Martin Richards pretty hard on that first corner. Guys pushing extra hard out there, Eddie, and that's what it's all about. They know at this level of competition, backing down from the fight's not going to work.
No, well, we're talking about a top 16 in the penultimate round of the Irish Drift Championship. Every spot is going to be really, really hardly fought for. You're not going to go out there and just put in 50% and go home with a win.
I'm just looking at the front wheel of Martin Richards' car here, and I think that he has broken something on the steering on the entry here. Watch the front wheel of Martin Richards' car as he enters. Look, just starts to wobble And maybe that was what caused him to slow down, or Joe Doyle, or not to go back on power. Maybe that was a steering issue for Martin Richards. Mightn't have been obvious the first look, but you can see definitely on the front of that car, there was definitely some issues with steering, and maybe that cost him. So we're going to have a quick look at this in our live stream, guys, just trying to find as many angles. But watch the front wheel on Martin Richards' car here. Watch that front wheel as it comes into that first corner. Does he snap a tie rod? And that's what causes him to not go back on power. As you can see, he comes in, wheels, starts to wobble very badly, big vibration. He's not on throttle whatsoever here, as you can see. The steering is just seems to be, and Joe Doyle sort of follows him in there. So I don't know what way the judges are going to see that, because Martin Richards does essentially make it around the first corner, but would he have made it any further? It looked like he tried to continue to drift Eddie and couldn't because of that steering issue. So it's all kicking off.
Yeah, not the type of call I'd want to be a judge to, you know, and have to make that. I'm glad I can sit here and just look at it as a spectator. But it does look as though you're right. We'll try to hear from our marshals.
Yeah, you can see that. Look at that on the front wheel. It definitely looks like there's an issue with, and it's that. Look at that, the front wheel. So we're going to go into the pits there. You see Martin Richards, it's definitely a tie rod that's broken. Martin under the car himself, and the helmet's still on. Eddie trying to fix the car as quickly as he possibly can. And I'm wondering which way the judges are going to call that one.
Interesting though, Dave, that's the side that the contact was on, and it's the left wheel that we were looking at that had the wobble in it. So
I'm not too sure what way, but the judges have made their decision, and it looks like it will be a 10-0 advantage to Martin Richards. Guys, talk us through it.
Yeah, we had to watch the replay a few times there just to make sure that Richards wasn't slowing. While he did initiate in, and maybe he was using a little bit of excessive handbrake and was washing wide a little bit, but that still wouldn't explain why Joe was washing with him and then made contact. Just after watching the replays a few times, it seemed that Joe was going wide even if Richards wasn't, and couldn't slow the car down in time and make contact with Richards. Therefore, we deemed that it was Joe Doyle's fault and 10-0 advantage going to Richards. Now, he also has a competition timeout to fix the car, while Joe Doyle is on a 5-minute rule.
Okay, so Joe Doyle's on a 5-minute rule. Competition timeout, how it works is Martin Richards deemed not at fault for the damage on his car, so he has until the end of the top 16 bracket to get that car fixed. It's a rule we always have here in the IDC that if you're not at fault for the damage, you get that extra little bit of time to get it fixed. So they're panicking to get that car ready. You can see Mark Needs and the guys working strong to try and get that tow arm changed, and of course alignment issues, everything else, but he has a 10-0 advantage. We move it on to our next battle, which will be Dennis Murphy and Shane O'Sullivan. Dennis Murphy, the newcomer to the scene. Shane O'Sullivan, very much, I said, a veteran of the sport, but again, hasn't taken a win at the Irish Drift Championship despite having over 20 podiums.
yeah, also worth noting, Dennis Murphy has fought his way into the top 16, taking down none other than Mike Fitzgerald. So, can he take another scalp here as he comes up against the very experienced Maxxis Tyre Jap Speed driver of Shane O'Sullivan? Who's going to take it through to the top 8?
Yeah, slight sprinkle of rain in the air here, Eddie. Not enough to wet the track, but enough to turn on the wipers. Let's see which way it goes. Will it be Dennis Murphy to take an upset here against Shane O'Sullivan?
O'Sullivan to lead them in, and you can just see the wiper on full tilt. More contact in the first corner, but they keep it going this time. As they switch it back, you can just see parts of Shane O'Sullivan's rear bumper just coming off. More parts of the car start to fly off. And this one getting a little bit scrappy. Now, Dennis Murphy makes the big dive down the inside, but Shane O'Sullivan on a really strong lead run, nailing that qualifying line. Final last ditch effort from Dennis Murphy, side by side as they cross the line.
And you know what? That is putting it all on the absolute line right there as Dennis Murphy tags the rear into Shane O'Sullivan's car, but they keep it going, they keep it moving. And incredible stuff there as they manage to complete a lap, and Dennis Murphy even gets himself back in the fight.
Yeah, and it's very heavy rain here now, Dave. As we see substantial water starting to drop onto the track, and this is going to make conditions extremely difficult for these drivers.
As the rain definitely starts to fall now, Eddie, this is going to change the track conditions absolutely instantaneously here in Watergrasshill. It's going to become like an ice rink out there, and we've seen incredible things happen already today. I think we're going to be in for big upsets as the day goes on. Yeah,
I mean, you start to look at some of the underpowered cars that are in the top 16, and they start to become slight favourites again as the power advantage.
Yes, we go back to the
starts
judges.
To fade.
Judges quickly, even all across the board, 5-5s. Guys, talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a great lead there from Sullivan. Nothing major at all, other than slightly coming in a bit early on clip 2. But other than that, great lead from Sullivan. Murphy, awesome aggression, but just not quite controlled enough. Obviously made contact with Sullivan, dropped off a lot of points from his advantage. He did gain obviously ground, but he was missing a couple of clips. It was 4 and 7. So he sort of pulled it back to even as opposed to being disadvantage, so we'll see how they get on the next run.
So now they go from a dry lap to a wet lap instantaneously. Eddie Dale, I've never done a dry lap this weekend. Anything could happen here.
Yeah, I mean, this one really opens it up because it's a dead heat on the first run, but I mean, could it be a case that whichever driver manages to make it through the first corner wins this one, because that first corner is going to be ever so slippy here.
Yeah, just surviving a run here. You see Shane O'Sullivan testing and Dennis Murphy's gone in on a huge lock and angle, and Shane O'Sullivan spins out! Shane O'Sullivan spins out, and the underdog might just take this one. Could Dennis Murphy cause a huge upset here? It's all kicking off, Eddie. I have no idea what's happening anymore.
Yeah, I mean, just as it looked as Dennis Murphy had dialed on too much angle, was going to spin, he just manages to hold it long enough for Shane O'Sullivan to spin behind him. And we'll let the judges make the final call on.
I mean, it's throwing up. It's one of those days, Eddie, where anything's happening. I mean, you could not pick the final here today.
Yeah, judges want to just see this one more time. You just see.
So, I mean, could Dennis Murphy do the unthinkable and take out one of the favorites, Shane O'Sullivan? The scores drop in. So our drivers await the scores, and here we go. Going through to the top 8 it's Dennis Murphy! Dennis Murphy goes through to the top 8. That is, I mean, we got to go back to our judges, guys. Obviously, it looked like Shane O'Sullivan was gone, and Dennis Murphy just kept it on track.
Yeah, I was watching Shane as he went down the straight chasing Dennis, and he was getting so much wheel spin that he actually got on lock, the opposite way as he came to clipping point 1, and when he did get into clipping point 1, he was already starting to over-rotate, and I think there was no saving it. It's going to be really sketchy now for the next one. So it's going to be a battle of attrition from here on, I think.
And what a battle that we have coming up as well. It's Conor Shanahan taking on Mark McBurney. His older brother is already out of the competition. Can Conor Shanahan progress forward into the top 8? Well, he's going to have to come up against Mr. Backwards, Mark McBurney.
And we have a fully wet track right now, Eddie, so anything can happen. Not one of these drivers has done a practice run in the wet. Now, I know in other championships they may give them a chance to go out there and test the surface. Here in the IDC, it's the same for everybody. You got to hit that first corner and figure it out as you go. That first corner, I think, is going to tell everything in this next battle.
I think it's going to decide a lot of battles from here on in, Dave, because these guys have had absolutely no practice in wet conditions. The cars are set up for dry conditions. Not what they were expecting to have to deal with this afternoon. Into the first corner, will they make it through? Oh! Just about managed to hold it. Straightens errors, washing wide.
It's sketchy as hell, Eddie, out there right now. All that Westlake and Achilles and Resistino rubber laid down has now become just absolute ice.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually amazing that both drivers managed to hold it through that first corner. I'm not sure what way the judges will have looked at it, but certainly both drivers will be getting docked a lot of points. And this one just so hard to maintain momentum and maintain proximity here.
Oh, contact, I think, between both cars as they came through that last section, both dipping a wheel. And
yeah, you can just see Mark McBurney's bumper knocked off, so definitely contact.
I mean, it's just not easy to get through the track at this stage. It's not easy to call it. Watch this first corner. Both guys come in early, but they both wash onto that. And Conor on full angle, McBurney on full angle. They both don't spin, but it's just knife edge. After there, the speed has just dropped significantly. The grip has dropped significantly. You can imagine a lot of these guys dropping the tire pressures right down as low as they can, trying to get the grip into the cars in the wet. They've done, essentially, yesterday and today all dry practice, and then they got to learn it all again from here. So that means that anyone that may have had an advantage now may not have an advantage because they got to start again from scratch. And I mean, to these two young guys coming up through the sport, to be able to hold their cars, to be able to stay that close, to be able to finish a run, impressive stuff.
Yeah, very impressive from both drivers, showing just how skilled they are behind the wheel of these incredible machines. But judges have made their decision on that first run, and taking a slender advantage into the second half of this battle will be Conor Shanahan. Quickly back to the judges. A very difficult one from your point of view to try and mark there.
Yeah, I mean, sort of basically ruling out that first corner, both cars just washed way too wide. Obviously, Shanahan recovered a bit better than McBurney, got back on the line. McBurney caught up with shallow angle, but still hitting the clips. It all sort of came back to the last corner where McBurney seemed to just sort of dive in a bit too quick. Obviously, there's no real grip around there. Shanahan's still on power, still coming around, just tags him a bit too hard, and that just dropped the advantage into Shanahan's favour there.
Yeah, so, I mean, it may be a little bit wet, it may be a little tough here in Watergrasshill, but you know what? I think we're in for a surprise here today. Anything can happen, and right now, Conor Shanahan takes a slender advantage against Mark McBurney. Both guys warming their tyres, ready to go here. They'll have learned quite a bit from that first run. I think, Eddie, they won't come in as hot. I think it's going to be a little bit cleaner from here on in as they get more wet laps under their belt, but McBurney's got to just hope that Shanahan makes a mistake in the chase here.
Yeah, he really does, but again, they may have learned a lot about that first corner, but there's still a space in the top 8 up for grabs, and these guys are going to be still gunning for it. So what will we see as they leave the trap, slam through the gears as they come down the straight? This looks a little bit better this time. Yeah, they managed to hold it much better.
Look how quickly they've learned in one lap how to do that corner. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, just taking to it like ducks to water.
Still getting a little bit of proximity there as Conor Shanahan now tries to reel in McBurney. And this is actually playing a little bit into McBurney's favour with the lower horsepower cars not suffering now with the rain coming down.
Yeah, and he's starting to pull a gap. Shanahan's going to have to make a dive here and try and get on the door of McBurney. Could we see a one more run for the first time?
A little bit hesitant on the throttle, both drivers there. McBurney's straightening up a little bit, just trying to balance between the grip and non-grip on the track, or lack of grip thereof. And Dave Kagan across the line. Round of applause, guys. Very tough out there on the drivers. Will it be Shanahan? Will it be McBurney going through to the top 8? Anything can happen today. And going through by the slenderest of margins to the top 8. And it is tight, very close in scoring. Going through to the top 8 is Conor Shanahan. Conor Shanahan goes through to the top 8, guys. Get up for Mark McBurney. It ain't easy out there right now, Eddie. Got to come back to the judges, guys. Talk us through it.
Pretty good lead run there by Mark. No major errors. He was slightly straightening between the hairpins just to try and make them. But Conor had good enough proximity up until the first hairpin, and then after that he kind of dropped off. It seemed like a lack of traction in the wet weather, and looked like McBurney had the pace on him. But I don't think that McBurney had enough to overturn the advantage that Conor had from the first run, and I only scored that at 5-5.
So there you have it. Conor Shanahan moves on to the top 8. McBurney eliminated. We go back to the battle between Joe Doyle and his car, which looks like it's been punched in the face. Goes up against Martin Richards, and Martin Richards takes a 10-0 advantage into this one. So this is an interesting one in the wet, because a spin here changes the game completely.
Yeah, this one is wide open all over again, The only disadvantage, I suppose, for Joe Doyle here is that he's going to be the first one to go through the corners. So most likely, if either of them are going to spin, or if they're both going to spin, he could be the first one to turn around. You can see Martin Richards holding back there, very sensible, but loses now a lot of ground. And he played a little bit of a gamble there, and Joe Doyle has got through that first corner perfectly. Absolutely no issues whatsoever for him. Richards needs to pull himself back into the battle here.
Yeah, he's slowly reeling him in over the course here, but Joe Doyle getting bogged down a little bit coming out of that corner. But Martin Richards is almost straight, but just about on angle behind him. Very cautious run from Richards in the chase position here, not wanting to risk it in the wet weather conditions. Remember, their first run was in the dry, the second half the battle in the wet, and that very rarely happens that way, Eddie. So there, look, Joe Doyle doing an excellent job of keeping himself in the fight here.
Yeah, I mean, Martin just, tintering on the edge of a non-contested run at the start, but brings himself back into it. There is a bit of a gap on the second half of the run, but the scores do drop in, and Even with the advantage going his way on the second half of the run, unfortunately for Joe Doyle, that will be the end of his weekend, as progressing through to the top 8 is UK driver Martin Richards.
Martin Richards gets the win and moves through to the top 8. You can see how delighted he's sweating in that race suit, I'm sure, after trying to fix that car and get it ready. Back to you guys, talk us through it. It's tough out there at the moment in the wet.
Yeah, that was a really good run with Joe. Really managing the conditions very well. Martin had a poor enough chase, but it was never going to be enough to overturn a 10-0. So it finished up, I think, a 7-3 to Joe on second one.
So there you have it, Martin Richards moves through. He joins Mitch Larner as 2 internationals into the top 8. They are joined by TJ Burney, Dennis Murphy and Conor Shannon. So what a day, anything can happen. And right now, you look at it on paper in the dry and say, Tomas Kiley on the left-hand side, and that 800 horsepower S14 has all the advantage. But Paul McCarthy right now, it's starting to play into his favor because it's getting wet out there. Power makes no difference at this stage. This is anyone's game from here on in.
It really is. It's whoever can survive the conditions best. Whoever adapts and adjusts to it.
And Paul McCarthy, he's always been strong in the wet, so this is a real game of chess out there. Who's going to take the risk on the first corner? It'll be Paul McCarthy, the red BMW, to lead into Moss Kiley into that first corner. And McCarthy goes in on big angle and big lock and holds it. Nice line from Paul McCarthy, but Kiley is right there with him.
Yeah, Kiley not letting McCarthy get away. Now, will he make a dive or will he just maintain that same gap all the way throughout, not take any risks, and just hope that in the reverse position that McCarthy starts to make mistakes? But look at this, Dave. McCarthy starting to open up a gap here, and Kiley struggling to get the power down.
Could Paul McCarthy be the next man to cause a huge upset here at IDC Round 4? And he's even pulling more of a gap right now, as Kiley has no answer for Paul McCarthy and cannot catch him across this finish line.
Yeah, this could be really playing into the hands of Jack Shanahan, who's out of the competition, but it wouldn't be the end of the world if Tomas Kiley were to bow out at this early stage also.
It'll be kind of, if the rest of the pack will kind of be, I think Tomas Kiley still has a lot in the tank in this battle, but if you watch it here, it's just, look at McCarthy, he's on so much angle here, holds it, and then just gets back to that inner clip on clip 2, where Kiley washes much wider there. And then
you have to remember, Dave, these are the drivers that we were expecting to lead the charge in the Super Series as well. Could we see some drivers who may have felt, it's not something that I'll contest, maybe they might make the decision to travel to the next round of the British Drift Championship?
Well, Paul McCarthy was one of those drivers that has signed up to go to Driftland in 2 weeks to compete in the Drift Super Series, so this would be great for him if he got some points on the board. And when you look at Drift Super Series points right now, it is Martin Richards and Mitch Larner that are going to be killing it on the points game, because they are already into the top 8. So it's very interesting in the Drift Super Series. Remember, we still have a lot of big names left to go. Scores are in, and it is a dead even 5-5 from the judges.
Good lead run there by McCarthy. The only thing that I could knock him down on is between the first and the second hairpin, he actually straightened up and really pulled a gap then on Kiley because of that straighten. Kiley for the first bend and up to the first hairpin, he did have some proximity. Both drivers running wide on the first corner. Look, mistakes by both drivers, and Kiley dropped off in proximity. It wasn't enough to hand an advantage to either driver, so an even 5-5 going into the second run.
Yeah, they haven't. Again, I'm just reminded that we had 3 rounds of IDC this year. We haven't had any rain, but the rain came back in. That changes the game altogether. And now the favourites maybe don't look like the favourites anymore, considering it's all up in the air. It's all a lottery as they come off the line. But it will be Kiley in the lead position. Remember, even Stephen after the first run, 5-5. Eddie, I'm looking down the list here and going, I have no idea. I mean, Mitch Larner will go up against TJ Burney and you'd say, but TJ Burney just beat Jack Shanahan.
Yeah,
Martin Richards goes up against Dennis Murphy, but Dennis Murphy just beat Shane O'Sullivan. Conor Shanahan is through, and he'll go up against the winner of this, and then it might be up to Conor Shanahan to stop Kiley's run to the top here to save his brother's graces, or will McCarthy get back on form? And we've seen him do this in the past, take podiums and wins.
Dwayne McKeever still in the competition. Could we see him go all the way to the podium and give himself a chance at that championship come the end of the season? It's all up for... just about holds it. You can't take your eyes off the action here, even with the wet weather. These guys pushing to the limits, and look at McCarthy. Big dive down the inside as he is glued to Moss, who washes a little bit wide but just gets it back on line out to that outer clipping zone. Can McCarthy make another dive and try and force more errors from the young gun, Tomas Kiley?
Proximity is pretty strong here from McCarthy. Can he force the issue for the judges as he gets closer in that last corner? And right now McCarthy is all over Tomas Kiley across the line. It's all kicking off here, Eddie, at IDC round 4. We could see another massive upset just when everyone says, oh, you know, these guys always win and it's always the same thing. Now it's been turned on its head because the wet weather here has just changed the game completely. And even before that, in the dry, we've seen incredible stuff. We said it was going to be interesting, and it is, and let's see who goes through. The scores are in. And going through to the top 8 is Paul McCarthy. Paul McCarthy goes through to the top 8. I could have called it all the way from the start, Eddie.
Yeah, I mean,
me and you called it.
We have this written down, don't we? We predicted it.
This is what we predicted. So McCarthy will go up against Conor Shanahan. We got to go back to the judges, guys. Talk us through it. It's really, really sketchy out there, and it's tough to judge, but equally tough to drive.
Yeah, I mean, the slightest little mistake will literally just end your battle. And Kiley, from literally the first corner, obviously washing way too wide, just gave McCarthy a huge opportunity to stick with him. And he did all the way through, not making any mistakes in the chase position there, and just took a strong advantage from Kiley from the offset there.
Yeah, so, I mean, here we go. And here's another two guys looking for an opportunity. Darren Coates and Pete Nielsen. Pete Nielsen in that teal Drift Games 180SX, Darren Coates in the white 180SX. Both guys, if I'm not mistaken, haven't made it to top 8 yet this year. So our judges are just taking a moment here to waterproof all the equipment here in the tower. Remember, we have a lot of technology at the moment, and it is, it's not cold, but it's just drizzly, and it's just made the track so slippy. And from my perspective, Eddie, we could see the streak go today because it's just that kind of a day.
Yeah, I think we could. We've two drivers, international drivers, in that top 8. But you know what? I'm looking at this battle here between Pete Nielsen and Darren Coates, and I think the winner of this particular battle, if it stays wet, even if it didn't, but they have that extra advantage in the wet. The winner of this one, I think, could be very close to taking it here. They may have to go up against Dwayne McKeever or Alan Hines in in the top 8, but just looking at the form that they've been on and the consistency that they've shown.
Well, I'll just put it this way. We have 2 international drivers in the top 8. That means there is a 20% chance?
Well, important to note that if they were to both win their next battle, they would come up against each other.
Okay, so yeah, which again, if they both won, so there's probably, what, a 25% chance now that we will see the streak broken today.
But if they both win their battles, guaranteed to have one of them in the final as well, which is also worthy of note.
So, yeah, if they both win their battles, we'll have an international.
I think it's a 100% chance that the streak will be broken today.
100%?
Yeah, that's the maths.
I think it's minus. We should never do math. We need an abacus. We get an abacus to the tower. So there's a good chance the streak could be broken today in the rain by an Australian who doesn't drive in the rain usually, and an Englishman who's quite used to the rain. But it is Pete Nielsen and Darren Coates. They've got their simultaneous wipers on and simultaneous cars, and they're ready to go for battle. And both of these guys, again, haven't driven here in the wet. I think this is going to play into sort of, both of these guys would like the rain to come down with some of the less, I think Darren Coates run a little bit more horsepower. This will suit Pete Nielsen.
Yeah, Pete very used to driving in the wet weather as an instructor in the Project Academy, where they always drive in the wet to make it easier for the guys that are learning. So, very used to the wet conditions, which should play into his hands.
Yeah, so they are on the start line. We've just waterproofed our tower to make sure everything runs. Obviously, we are temporary building everything here, and not everything is 100% watertight. We've got a lot of power leads, and of course, for you guys at home, you'll be thinking that we are taking a little bit of caution just to make sure it doesn't go down and we don't get electrocuted here in the tower. And I'm just, rubber on the bottom of the shoes is probably all that's protecting us at this stage.
Exactly, yes. Always overcome.